So, you decided to watch this video. What made you want to try out gacha games? Was it the ads? Friends who play it, whether from time to time or around the clock? Did you attend an anime convention and see gacha game characters almost everywhere? Or are you here to criticize my video? Whatever it is, it cannot be denied that gacha games are common nowadays. It is hard to avoid either hearing or seeing about it, which triggers the human sense of curiosity, which in turn led you to this video. Now, what even are gacha games? Well, they are gambling in simple terms. But you just use an in-game currency provided by the game itself in set quantities that operate similarly to that of a gachapan machine, where you get items and get yourself a specific character in what you call a banner, where they are featured and has a higher chance of being acquired. You get the chance to keep them if you can successfully acquire the said character. Of course, you have the option to buy these in-game currency with real money if you run out of the free ones. Voila! You can gamble your earnings to get that satisfaction of getting that sweet character. And the developers are more than happy to receive your earnings. It's a win-win situation. So why trust this video? Why should you trust what I say and what my opinions are? Well, I have played at least 20 gacha games. I don't know if that's like a lot or not, since I really have known people who've played more or less than me. So you be the judge. As such, I have experienced over thousands of hours playing gacha games, either just for fun or in a semi-competitive manner. Let me tell you that these forces of technologies are not to be dealt with lightly. It is to note though that this video is purely my opinion and should not be taken as if this is all factual and correct. These are just my opinions and they might differ from person to person. Now that that's out of the way, let's get on with a guide to starting any gacha game. Enjoy the video. First off, choosing a genre. Like all non-gacha games, there are different genres for different people to enjoy. Surprisingly, different gacha games cover a wide variety of game genres. Although there is no gacha game for the horror genre as of the time of this recording, with the closest one resembling it being Reverse 1999. Anyways, like I said, you have the freedom to choose from different games, with options like open world games like Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves, fast-paced combat games like Zen Zone Zero, Honkai Impact 3rd, and Punishing Grey Raven, turn-based games like Honkai Star Rail and Fate Grand Order, strategy games like Limbus Company and Blue Archive, and whatever Azur Lane, Brown Dust, Ecocalypse, and Nikke are. Apologies if I haven't mentioned your favorite gacha game. There are a lot of them out there, and this video would be lengthy if I mentioned them all. Of course, it is important to choose a game genre that you will enjoy, since what's the point of playing a game aside from chasing clout? I, for one, would not prefer playing open world games, including Genshin Impact, since I'm not really the type of person to spend their time exploring. Although Wuthering Waves is an exception, since its combat is satisfying. I find the concept of open world exploration tiresome, and that's why I would rather choose games that offer a couple of menu slaps here and there, as well as a good story and gameplay accompanying it. Speaking of stories, what would the game be without the lore? Sorry if that was kind of awkward. Without it, a gacha game would simply be a waifu or husbando collecting game, and it would simply not be that appealing without some backstory to the characters, except I guess to some lore skippers, which, no offense, found their way to enjoy the game through its mechanics alone. Putting that aside, the story that associates a character is indeed important to show how the personalities of the characters help them to become likable and famous, or unlikable and infamous, and resonate their way to you. Despite all the gacha games out there, These characters still make themselves somewhat unique enough to stand out on their own thanks to how world building and character development are done by their respective developers. Take Blue Archive for example. It is commonly known as the gunner bait game with little children. Those are the remarks of those who haven't read what it has to offer. Let me tell you that its morals hit more deeply and resonate with you more than Skibidi Toilet ever does. Whatever's happening to that show. I'm not here to criticize or summarize Blue Archive's story. You can watch other videos about that. But as the saying goes, don't judge a book by its cover. Now, other games require a sort of prologue to understand its lore, where an example of this would be that Girls Frontline 2, Exilium, requires its first part, Girls Frontline, to understand its lore, yet it can still be enjoyed based on my experience without playing the first part. Another example would be the game Limbus Company, requiring both Lobotomy Corporation and Library of Rowena, the two of them not being gacha games, to have a grasp on the setting the game sets in. I wish these games were easier, but no, it has to be so hard that a lobotomy is much better than playing these games, and I haven't even touched Library of Rowena. Sorry for the rant, but I hope that shows you how important those walls of text are to a game. Speaking of which, how do lore skippers enjoy gacha games then? Well, they play the game. That's right, they play the game. Different games have different mechanics and a lot of upgrades and equipment to go with your characters to make them stronger. So explore! Learn how to play the game early on, experiment with what you can do, since in the late game, you would be focused on beating harder enemies. Upgrade your equipment, if there is, since they can make your character stronger. If you are afraid to upgrade it since you have a low rarity one and think that it would be a waste of resources, then abandon that mindset. You can always grind later, and it makes the game a whole lot easier on your part if you upgrade. As an example, in Azur Lane, I didn't upgrade my equipment and just slapped the auto-equip button, which resulted in me having slow progress in the game in terms of strengthening my characters and being beaten by players who started later than me. It is also to note that if a game has an auto feature, I recommend that you do not use it until you have understood at least the basics of the game, since using auto all the time would drain the fun of the game and make you just breeze through the game without exploring it. Deciding if you are going casual or meta is important as well, where you either play the game casually as the name implies, or go meta and catch up with all the overpowered characters to reach the top of the leaderboards. I myself am a casual player, but every once in a while I do get competitive when I get an overpowered character. Now, how do you get them sweet characters anyways? You gacha! Gacha gacha! Gacha good! It's in the name of this video, and it is your primary method of acquiring characters. Now, at the start of gacha games, they usually give you a set of items used for pulling characters, which is something similar to turning the knob of a gachapon machine or pulling the lever of a slot machine and waiting for the outcome, which is a character in our case. Usually, the first pulled characters are scripted, but after the tutorial, you have some more items for pulling more characters. If you're satisfied with what the tutorial gave you, then you can keep items and save it for a limited character for a future banner. If you aren't though, then you can do what is called re-rolling, where you try to pull for a character that you like and reset your account if you didn't get them, doing this over and over until you finally get that sweet character. Although I wouldn't recommend this, as it would break the immersion, and you can get the characters in the future anyways. You can also go pay to win, abbreviated as P2W, and pay to get these characters, even the items that go with them to make them stronger. But let me tell you something, the satisfaction of getting characters as a free-to-play, abbreviated as F2P, is usually much more satisfying than maxing out all the available characters in the game as a pay-to-win. At least, that's what I have observed, both as me being an F2P to all the gacha games I have played, and from videos and accounts of those who pay to win. So choose wisely. If you want to learn more about the game though, you would need to search the net. It can be either a fun or tiring thing to do. In this context, since you're gaming, it would be fun. I think. I hope. With researching, you can search for more advanced texts that the game has to offer, or even learn more about the lore. Although it is purely optional if you want to keep your immersion in the game. Of course, you can also search the net to connect with other people with the same interests and form connections to enjoy your time while playing the game, which I highly suggest, as having someone to share the game with is 100 times better than playing it alone. You get to flex your pulls and characters. Just kidding, don't do that, please. It's for your own sake. You can talk about the lore and clarify things, or you can talk about smash or pass, those kinds of things. However, you're not always asked to dedicate yourself to a game you entered, and that is why my last tip would be to save your account. This seems unnecessary to remind you of, but it's better to tell you this as a heads up if you plan on laying off the game or taking a break from it and haven't linked your account yet. The thing is, you may not like the game or find it overwhelming, but for the same reason you clicked on this video, curiosity will take over you and will want you to play the game again. So it's better to save the progress you have done. Whether it be a lot or even a small one, progress matters. As for me, I stopped playing Arknights a while ago since I have no storage left on my phone and I was confused about how to play it properly. But of course, I plan to return to it due to the fantastic storytelling and fun gameplay it has to offer. If you understand what you are doing, at the very least. So I saved my account, hoping that I can return to enjoy the game to its fullest soon. On that note, some games require more complex things to do to save your data, such as an account that cannot be linked via email, with Fate Grand Order being an example of this. A personal experience of mine is that I have not lost one, but two accounts on that game, since it operates on a code that needs to be saved for the data to be transferred to another device, and I was too careless by not keeping these codes. Days of farming Saint Quartz and for my servants was gone as I deleted my game since I lacked storage. So remember, save your account. It may not mean a lot, but trust me, it would help you avoid complications and staying up late to try and take back the progress that you have made before. In the end, what you do in a gacha game can vary a lot, and this video just gave you some tips to generalize what you should do when you are just starting with a gacha game. You can enjoy a game in a variety of ways, and it's up to you to find what makes you want to play that game. For those of you who wanted to have a TLDR of the video, the main tips that were mentioned in this video would be choosing a game genre, investing in the story, playing the game, gacha, searching the net, and saving your account. Mentioning this again, this video is all based on my opinion and should not be taken into account if you do not wish to perform such. In addition to that, this video is meant for those who are not that experienced in playing gacha games, and if you are critiquing this video, then you are more than welcome to provide your insights on what you think about this video. This is my first time doing this type of video as a way to thank you guys for letting us reach the milestone of 1,000 subscribers. I know this isn't the content that I used to make, but I wish that you would continue to support me as well. As mentioned, this is my first time doing this, so feedback is greatly appreciated. Let me know if I should continue this type of videos or not. That's all this video has to offer to you. Have a laid back day, and I'll sleep you all next time. Thanks for watching.